Okay, so I wanted to do something different. So I'm a female in my 40s. My husband is not very inclined to work on things, cars, furniture, whatever it may be. So I take it upon myself periodically to do home improvements. As you can see, my living room, my dad usually gives me some insight on what to do. So now I have taken the paint off the walls, covered the floors. I haven't decided if I'm going to pull up the floor. It's basically concrete. I'll show you a piece of it over here. If anybody has any ideas on how I can get this adhesive off a little bit better, that would be helpful. But there's tons and tons of adhesive on this concrete floor, which I eventually want to get off. And then either I'll get excited and there'll be terrazzo in there or some kind of concrete maybe. Here, I'm pulling up the tile off the windowsill. This house was in the 70s. So we're basically doing a lot of things. We've been here for 10 years and nothing really major. That's where the flat screen goes. So basically, I'm using this compound here and this blower thingy to a compressor. And I've made this pattern on the wall only because there is some parts on the wall where the kids have basically put the couch through the wall or the chairs through the wall, and I patched up some of the holes, but you can still see where there's dips and dings and stuff like that in the wall. So what I'm doing is putting that texture on the wall and then I'm going to paint over it so it's not so noticeable. But this is my current project. In the middle of this project, waiting for the walls to completely dry until tomorrow so I can finish spraying over that and then start the paint. Okay, so I've gotten this bench here. I've already finished one side of it. It's going to actually go here because we used to have stools there where all of the kids have actually broken off the legs. So I bought this stool here today because it does match the kitchen somewhat. And so right now I am working on this bench here. So I've put one side together. For any females out there who feel like they cannot build anything, I do not build, but I will start a project and figure it out. So there's nothing I usually cannot figure out. I usually spend a little bit of time on it until I do figure it out. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just putting the legs on the table. I'm going to screw them all in, put the side piece in, and then there's a long piece that goes down the center, which is this piece, which is going to connect the bench, and then the bench is just going to go over to that table. So I actually got this bench for $70 at Big Lots, and I'm going to finish putting it together and you can stand by. So let's move this piece of paper so you can see what I'm doing. I never ever like to go off of directions unless I'm really stuck. I am a picture person, so what I currently like to do is I like to look at the picture. So basically I'm putting on the flat washer first, and then I'm putting on the little washer so that it basically will lock it in place when I put it on. Sorry, I put that on wrong. So the flat washer is supposed to go actually against the wood, and the smaller one is basically to lock it. So you want to start at the bottom so you don't have any wobbly legs, and you just want to tighten them with your fingers just a little bit. And that way you can get it started. I'm not sure if this paper and stuff is in the way. These are my tools. I'm using a screwdriver. They gave me this little wrench over here, but I'm not using that until the last part, because if you screw it too hard, you strip the inside of the screws. And if you strip those, then you can't turn them. So you always want to start the screw with your fingertips first, as far as you can get it. And if you can't get it no more, then you can try with the screwdriver. And when you start to see that the screw is basically starting to strip, then you want to go with whatever tool they gave you next. But this one seems to be twisting in. I didn't get that lucky with the last ones. They were giving me a hard time, so I figured I'd try it first, make sure I got it right, and then try to teach what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got that tightened with my fingers. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not. Hopefully you can. Okay, so we'll do the next one. Next one is the same way. You want to put the little one on first. So so it slides up towards the top of the screw. Then you want to put the flat one facing towards the piece of furniture so that the washers are basically to get it tight. Now this one's going to give me a little bit harder of time, of course, because it does not want to twist. So what we'll do is we'll just take a screwdriver, try to get it started a little bit. This one doesn't seem to be stripped in the middle yet, but when it starts sliding around and I don't get any more traction or any more grip, that's when I'll take that screwdriver, or that little wrench, not the screwdriver, I'm sorry, this little wrench here, and I'll start using that so it doesn't strip. But for right now, this seems to be doing the job. Now you don't want to tighten both legs at the same time, so the other one, I'm just going to tighten a little bit because it has a middle piece that we want to make sure can slide in. You don't want to tighten them and then have them be too tight and then you can't slip the piece in. So we're just going to tighten them in and get that started, and then we'll just semi-tighten the other screws until we can slide that piece in. Get started. We always, of course, want to make sure that the letter goes with the letter. This is C over here and this is C here. You want to make sure that sometimes I've done projects where I have actually put this stuff together and I've had to undo it because this little slant right here was on the outside, or this little slant right here was over here. And this piece needs to go from here to here with this little piece. So always make sure that when you're putting the legs in or whatever it may be, there's a slat for another piece. It's facing the right way. Because if I put it that way, the slat's not going to be able to go through. So if you're like me and you look at pictures, make sure you look at the picture all the way before you start doing this. And when you are using the pieces, just make sure if you notice that there's any slats, grooves, or anything that you may have to put a certain way before you put it all together and end up having to take it all apart. So we'll do it the same way again. I'm going to put the flat washer against the wood and the small washer on the inside so we can make sure it locks. We'll start at the bottom again, just to make sure we don't get any type of wobbliness. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but it sounds good. So we'll tighten up these screws again, just by hand, until we can't tighten no more. And we'll use a screwdriver, and then we'll use the wrench. Remember, we only want to tighten this just a little bit so that it catches so we can slide in that middle part. Okay, so we got that one. Just finger tightened a little bit. And we'll start the last one here. Okay. Finger tighten this one as well, but remember we don't want to do it too tight because we do want to put that middle piece in. These are pretty much finger tightened as far as they can go. And what we'll do now is they're still a little bit loose. And we're just going to slip this piece in. You want to make sure, and I did it again. So you want to make sure that the groove is on the inside, which I did not do on those. So now I'm going to have to go back in, loosen those up, flip it around to make sure that the groove is in the right area. And I need to flip this one around also because this one has grooves that I need to put the screws in. So we actually have to have it this way. So I can still put the screws in to make sure this little piece is going to be tightened between the two legs. And if I would have tightened it up already, then I wouldn't have been able to put that piece in. I figure I'd learn by now by checking from the grooves, but obviously I haven't because the other piece I put on backwards. So I guess it's not good to make a tutorial if you don't do it right either. But we all gotta learn somehow, right? So, tighten this up. Still got a grip on it. Make sure you push against it because you don't want it to be loose and stripped. You want to make sure you get the tightest screw in there. There's always got to be that one that gives you the problem. And this one is a pain because if you don't do the ones on the bottom first, it's hard to get that little wrench in there. So, I'll fight with this one to get this one in. And I notice it's starting to strip now, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our little wrench. And we're going to sit here for 30 minutes, going inch by inch, to try to get this thing tightened. Which I'm not very good at because, as you can see, it's sliding off and this takes a long time. But I'm doing it on my own. My husband came out here and looked at me building it. My kids playing the video games. My other son is at work, so if I don't do it, nobody's gonna. And I like to do home improvements on a regular basis. Change out my bedspreads, change out the floors, change out the paint. The house is not in the best area, so if I can make it look a little bit better than it does on the outside or the neighborhood, then it's fine with me. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just does not want to go in my hole. Definitely giving me a hard time. There we go. Okay. My arm at this point is on fire. But this thing takes so darn long, I hate using it. So, I'm trying my best to not have to use it. As you can see, I don't have a choice because the screwdriver is starting to strip the bolt. And I definitely don't want that to happen. So, here we are, 50 turns later. Let's see if you can see that or not. This is so awkward. I'm trying to hold it like that. Let's see. Oops. And as you can see, I'm not a great camera holder either. Maybe after I do enough of these videos, I'm going to do some little camera equipment, but for now, I'm just trying to show everyone out there that it is possible for you with these to build your own stuff. If you want to have some home improvements done, it only takes a wrench, some arm strength, and a screwdriver. And basically, that's it. A bench. So just bear with me. I'm going to finish doing this up so you guys don't have to sit here for the next 30 minutes and watch me screw in the screw. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this one, get it the right way so you guys can see the finished product. Stand by.